You know what's wild? We're living in a time where every major studio plays it safe. Sequels, remakes, and reboots. The same formula recycled again and again. And then, Riot Games, of all companies, steps into one of the hardest genres to break into, fighting games. It's called 2XKO, a 2v2 tag team brawler that's fast, fluid, and surprisingly deep. And this isn't Riot just dabbling. This is them betting big, betting that they can do what even the biggest names in the industry have struggled to do for decades: bring fighting games back into the mainstream. Today, we're going to talk about how 2XKO could be the next big shift in competitive gaming and why Riot's gamble might be one of the smartest risks we've seen in years. Let's start with Riot's track record. They didn't invent MOBAs, Dota did that, but they perfected it with League of Legends. They didn't invent tactical shooters. Counter-Strike and Overwatch already existed, but they redefined it with Valorant. And now they're doing it again. Riot has this pattern of watching what players love, seeing where the genres get stuck, and then building a smoother, more modern experience that welcomes newcomers while keeping the competitive roots alive. That's what makes 2XKO so interesting. They're not just chasing a new trend. They're reviving a genre that's been quietly struggling for years. Because, let's be honest, fighting games have been gatekept for way too long. They're complex, hard to master, and even harder to watch if you're not already in that world. Riot's goal? To open that door. To make a fighting game that's fun to watch, fun to play, and still deep enough to dominate in tournaments. Let's talk about the landscape Riot is stepping into. We've got the big hitters: Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat. The holy trinity of fighting games, each one with decades of history, dedicated fans, and a very specific identity. But if you look closely, each of these franchises is also facing growing pains. Mortal Kombat leans more cinematic, Tekken leans technical, and Street Fighter walks the line between tradition and accessibility. They're amazing, don't get me wrong, but they're also old school. They carry the weight of their own legacy. Mechanics they can't abandon, systems they can't change without backlash, and that's where Riot saw an opening. They don't have to follow any of those rules. They can build a fighting game from scratch for a modern audience, with modern sensibilities designed for streamers, esports, and casual fans alike. 2XKO doesn't just aim to compete. It's trying to bridge worlds, hardcore fighter players, and the millions of League fans who might have never touched a fighting game before. That's a massive opportunity. So what is 2XKO exactly? It's a 2v2 tag team fighting game set in the world of Runeterra, the same universe as League of Legends and Arcane. You get to pick two champions, swap between them mid-match, and chain devastating combos together. Think of it like Marvel vs. Capcom meets League of Legends. The combat is flashy but grounded, fast but readable. It's got assists, aerial juggles, tag-ins, and synergy systems that make every team feel unique. But here's the real secret sauce. It's designed for spectators. Riot knows fighting games live and die on hype. They need moments that make people scream. Wild reversals, clutch parries, perfectly timed supers. 2XKO's visuals, pacing, and even sound design are engineered for those holy crap did you see that moments that clip perfectly for places like TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch highlights. That's not accidental. That's design philosophy. Now, one of the biggest criticisms of fighting games is that they're too hard to get into. You need perfect inputs, hours of practice, and an encyclopedia memory for combos and frame data. Riot's approach with 2XKO flips that. They've simplified execution without removing any of the depth. In other words, anyone can feel powerful within minutes, but mastery still takes time. It's the same model that made League successful. You can hop in and have fun, but you can spend years mastering its systems. This easy to play, hard to master design is what could finally bring fighting games back into the mainstream. And Riot's already talking about things like rollback netcode, crossplay, smooth lobbies, and online stability. All the stuff fighting game veterans have been begging for. They're listening. That's what separates Riot from a lot of developers. They actually build with player feedback at the center. Let's talk about the characters, because this is where Riot's genius really shines. Instead of starting from scratch, they're using League champions as the base roster. Ahri, Darius, Echo, and Jinx. These are names millions already know and love. That means 2XKO doesn't need to spend years building brand new lore or recognition. They're leveraging nostalgia, familiarity, and fandom, instantly making every reveal feel personal. Fans already have their mains picked before the game even launches, and visually they've struck this perfect balance, keeping the style of League and Arcane, but pushing the detail and impact to a whole new level. Animations are extremely fluid, camera angles are dynamic, and every punch feels cinematic. This isn't just a fighting game, it's a spectacle. Now let's be real, this is still a huge gamble. Fighting games are brutal when it comes to market entry. It's not enough to just look good, you have to feel right. One frame too slow, one input off, and the entire hardcore community will let you know. Riot is walking into a genre filled with purists, people who have played fighters their whole lives and won't hesitate to judge every move. But that's also what makes this so exciting, because Riot knows that. They're not just winging it. They've brought in fighting game veterans, people from Street Fighter, Tekken, and Skullgirls to get the mechanics just right. They understand this isn't a marketing stunt, it's a test of credibility. If they nail it, they don't just win new players, they win respect. And once you have that, the fighting game community becomes your biggest ally. Here's where things get really interesting. Riot doesn't just make games, they make ecosystems. Look at League, look at VALORANT. Both became massive esports scenes practically overnight, because Riot knows how to build a stage for competition. We're talking tournaments, sponsors, pro circuits, local qualifiers. They build infrastructure, and 2XKO is already set up perfectly for it. A tag team format means dynamic duos, new strategies, and high replayability. Imagine regional duos representing their own cities, their own countries, their favorite champions. It's tailor-made for storylines, for rivalries, drama, hype moments. And because it's more accessible, we will most likely see new faces rising through the ranks. People who have never competed in fighting games before finding their footing in this one. That's how a new esport is born. Riot's not thinking short-term here. They're building something that can evolve for the next decade. Frequent patches, seasonal events, champion updates. Everything that keeps League alive can also apply here too. 2XKO has the potential to grow like an MMO disguised as a fighter. And if it connects with audiences the way VALORANT did, it could completely shift how developers view fighting games. No longer niche, no longer intimidating, but cinematic, community-driven, and global. At the end of the day, Riot's gamble on 2XKO is about more than just building a fun fighter. It's about reshaping an entire genre. They're taking a risk few would even attempt, stepping into sacred territory and saying, we can make fighting games mainstream again. And honestly, I think they might just pull it off. So whether you're a lifelong fighter fan like me, a casual League player, or someone who just loves seeing gaming history unfold, keep your eyes on 2XKO, because when Riot bets big, they don't just play the game, they change it. Anyways, I'd like to know how you're liking or hating 2XKO. As always, drop a like, some comments, and I'll be responding to them as quickly as I can. And don't forget to also sub if you like this content and want more of it. Peace.